We have got in 2017 a lot of vegan documentaries in the pipeline that are underway or that have already come out. So I thought I'd use this video as an opportunity to highlight the top 5 vegan documentaries of 2017. First up, Eating You Alive is a health-based documentary that recently came out. It features some amazing experts from the medical community and talks about why we're fed so much misinformation and why we're all, especially in the West, increasingly sick. And it recommends a whole food plant-based diet. And before I move on to the next film, the next vegan documentary, just check out the Eating You Alive trailer.
People aren't living longer, they're dying longer.
I'm a steak guy.
Fish.
Sushi, actually.
Got up as heavy as 518 pounds.
6 months you'll be in dialysis or you'll be dead.
I can't have that one candy bar a week because I didn't have an off switch.
You're going to be on insulin the rest of your life.
I wasn't making any progress on the pills.
We see this kind of cancer, there's no known cure.
I was flat on a gurney and they were debating, do I have triple bypass?
I thought that my hypertension was genetic.
You're out of control, and they were not giving me any hope at all.
We had the cure, we've had it for decades.
What we know from cigarette smoking is the public doesn't like to be lied to.
We need education more than medication.
Can't blame doctors. They're not trained in this field.
I was really angry. I just could not understand why I didn't learn any of this in medical school.
The food industry was a $1 trillion industry. It uses very similar kind of tobacco-style techniques, paying off scientists and funding studies.
What is on our plate is really affecting our environment.
We have been putting the wrong fuel in our body.
Americans, Europeans are being poisoned by these animal foods.
You can see what the person is eating by looking at the plaque in their artery.
There's a plaque right there.
We were literally bypassing the problem.
Without some serious lifestyle changes, this guy will be back.
Foods are the cause of diabetes, of heart disease, of many forms of cancer, of hypertension. And if they're the cause, they can also be the solution.
I had to really look at it to see patients that I knew should be dead by my conventional training, alive and well, tumors melting away.
The power is not inside of our hands as physicians. The power is inside your hands through your life choices.
Don't let your culture hold your heart hostage.
Many symptoms and diseases just melt away even after being there for years.
The doctor said this woman alleges to have lupus, but we're not finding any evidence of it.
The doctor says you're no longer diabetic.
The most important decision anyone makes every day is what they elect to put in their mouths.
I need to make a change, but what do I do?
In the nutrition classes that I teach, a big component of that is taking people to the grocery store and doing hands-on training and teach people label reading.
I think it is something that will really work. It's just my habits.
Probably 95% of America has no idea how to eat.
It's not so much about trying to invent a new way of life, but rather discovering the foods that are right here in front of you.
I think that's the gift of the plant-based diet, is it really kind of taps into all your different creative parts and you just start really experiencing a new variety.
This is my garlic Alfredo. It's just 7 ingredients. Just start out with chopping some onions, chopping some garlic.
We're on the cusp of a paradigm shift. To me, this is the future of food.
I can't imagine another way that we could have a greater impact on our health.
Standing in front of you is obviously not a hindrance in bodybuilding to eat whole plant foods.
To be able to push through 90 minutes and not get stopped by muscle cramps was an amazing feeling.
Food is powerful.
I've been in medicine for over 30 years, and for the very first time, I can truly look someone in the eye and I can say, I can heal you.
Why isn't every person trying this?
It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It saved my life, it saved my marriage.
It's really nice to do things when you get results.
Here, I was in control all along.
Gave me freedom.
This is where medicine should be.
Come on. What's on your plate?
Next up is Carnage, which is another vegan film due to come out very soon. It's actually coming out on March the 19th on BBC iPlayer. It's directed by the British Simon Amstell, and the idea of the film is that it is set in the future when apparently nobody eats meat, and it looks back at a time like now when we all or most of us, eat animals. So it's meant to be like a comedy-based thing, but let's hear a little bit more information about Carnage. Check this video out.
Last week I had the great pleasure of hosting the premiere of Carnage, which is a new film written and directed by Simon Amstell, which he's made for the BBC iPlayer. We did a screening of the film and then did a Q&A with him afterwards at the NFT. And the way Simon Amstell describes the film is he says, "I have written and directed a film about veganism. I'm sorry. But the key thing is, it's a film about veganism that is funny. It's a science fiction film set in 2067 in a sort of utopian future in which young people sit around in fields being nice to each other. Nobody fights, nobody wars, but nobody eats meat or indeed consumes animal products." And they're looking back over the past and trying to come to terms with a past in which people did indeed eat meat and drink cow's milk. And it's doing that thing that science fiction often does, which is using the future as a way of talking about the past. And it's witty and funny, and it uses documentary footage and also television footage and then new dramatic reconstruction. It mixes them all together. Sometimes you can't quite tell which is very well done. And when Simon Amstell was discussing it, he said, look, imagine you're at a dinner party now and you're with somebody who's eating meat and you say, you realize that you're eating a dead animal, so that might actually kill the atmosphere. But if you're in the future, in a future in which nobody eats meat, it's interesting to look back and sort of try to come to terms with that idea. And that's something which science fiction does very well. But during the course of the discussion, he said something which I was fascinated by, which was that when he started out wanting to make a film about veganism that was funny, a subject which he admits isn't inherently that funny, he initially wanted to do a future story in which what happened was people were put on trial for meat crimes. It was kind of like almost like a war crimes thing in which people were tried for having eaten meat. And one of his producers at the BBC said, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to do something in which what we're trying to do is to come to terms with the past. And it seemed like a sort of, a small but really, really crucial shift. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought just how important that is.
What's that? What did you do?
The difference between something being lecturing and something being funny, the difference between something being hectoring and something being amusing is often very small. Simon Amstell himself said, I'm not an activist, I'm a clown. And the reason that that's true of Carnage is exactly because of that central shift, that it's not about putting the past on trial. It's about attempting to come to terms with the past, albeit in a way which is funny and witty and satirical and sly. Anyway, Carnage is coming to the BBC iPlayer in March. I hope you see it, I hope you enjoy it. I've seen it a couple of times now, and I think it's pretty good. Now, I'm a pescatarian, so I eat fish, so I'm not a vegan. I have to say that watching the film did make me think twice about cheese.
Next up is a feature documentary coming out at the end of the year, so the end of 2017. And the aim of it, or one of the aims of the film, is to showcase all of the athletes that are now using the vegan diet to power themselves. The film's called The Game Changers, and there isn't really a huge amount of information online about this yet, but I've spoken to a few people. It is meant to be a big deal. As I said, it's called The Game Changers. It's going to be executively produced by the famed film director James Cameron. And here's just a short paragraph about the film on the website. From the UFC Octagon in Las Vegas and the Anthropology Lab at Dartmouth to Strongman Gym in Berlin and the bushlands of Zimbabwe, The Game Changers will introduce the world to elite athletes, special ops soldiers, visionary scientists, cultural icons, and everyday heroes, each on a mission to create a seismic shift in the way we eat and live. I spoke to Tim Sheaf about this film because he was actually, he's filmed for it last year on the rooftops of London, and he's really impressed, he's really excited. He said it's very professional, had a proper budget, and I've spoken to a few other people involved who kind of echoed this. And as I said, there's no official trailer yet, but there will be some hype soon, so this is one to watch out for. I did hear that I'm going to play a video, a little clip in a minute. The film crew were at this event, and this is something they filmed professionally. So check this little clip out, and this could give a sense of what the film is all about.
With preparation, how far out have you had to work for this?
Well, I've been dieting since I became a vegan 8 months ago, and it has been a fantastic journey.
So that was in 2015, and obviously that was filmed in an amateur way, but it kind of gives you a flavour of what the filmmakers, the kind of moments the filmmakers captured. They basically followed all of the elite vegan athletes around the world for the last couple of years, and yeah, The Game Changers is definitely a film to get excited about. Another exciting documentary, vegan documentary in the pipeline is Eating Our Way to Extinction. This is going to be like the vegan trifecta. So it's going to incorporate the health, environmental and ethical component of veganism. And the last thing the makers of this film produced was actually retweeted by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Eating Our Way to Extinction, it's got a proper budget. It's backed by the ex-managing director of Sony Pictures, and they've got Virgin backing them as well. So it's gonna be a big deal. Really looking forward to it. Check out the trailer.
We are, all of you know it, on the edge of a climatic abyss.
Locations around the globe saw extreme heat, including one record in Kuwait of 129.
There's people in the water!
The primary driving force behind species extinction, behind water and air pollution, is this system of animal agriculture.
Animal agriculture.
Animal agriculture.
Animal agriculture.
Animal agriculture.
Studies show climate change and water shortages are directly linked to the amount of meat we consume.
We will not succeed until we stop animal agriculture.
Heart disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis.
I knew at that point what caused most diseases.
Animal products.
Animal-based proteins.
Animal protein.
People that increase their consumption of plant-based foods, decrease their consumption of animal foods, actually have a survival advantage, actually live years longer than those that don't.
In the European Union alone, over half of its budget is used to subsidize livestock production.
Across Europe, 80% of direct payments go to just 20% of farmers.
When you really look at who's lobbied for this system of agriculture, it's the largest meat producers. They dictate the federal policies around producing food because they have so much power.
Government gives $30 billion to underwrite cheap meat, and they give no money to the vegetable industry.
Recent scientific research has discovered that farm animals are far from stupid. The nearest most of us come is in the supermarket, but do we know how intelligent and sensitive they are, and how the decisions we make every day directly affect their lives?
Well, tens of millions of Americans have switched their diet from meat-centered meals to ones rich in vegetables, grains, beans, and other plant-based foods. Not only is it a healthy lifestyle change, but it's also helping change our environmental footprint.
The number one thing that you can do is to just stop eating meat.
Last up is What the Health, which has recently come out. I was really impressed by this. It's done by the makers of Cowspiracy, which is a 2014 environmental documentary. And yeah, the makers of this film really, took the production value to the next level. I would say it's the best health documentary to date. I could probably talk about it for like 10 minutes, but we've done a review on plantbasednews.org where we go through the best moments. And also, we're not scared to give a little bit of critique and constructive feedback. So if you want to see that, I'll leave a link in the description down below. I'll also leave links for all of the other documentaries that I've mentioned. So if you want to know more information, then you can. And if you want to download the films that have already come out, then you'll be able to via the links I'll provide. And yeah, just last up, I want to say have a good day, and I'll leave you with the What the Health trailer.
The diabetes, the arthritis, the heart disease, the dementia, the obesity, the cancers are affecting about 70% of deaths.
We have an epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country.
18% of children are morbidly obese right now. We're on par to have 1 in 3 people be diabetic in the next 25 years. That's crazy statistics.
We have this very dangerous situation.
Large amounts of these substances have unquestionably been associated with clogged arteries, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Absolutely, the science is solid.
We're talking life and death.
Health organizations have become co-opted. They are taking money from the very industries who are causing the problems.
There's a very strong pharmaceutical industry and lobby that has a huge stake in preserving the status quo.
We've got a $35 billion statin drug industry. Do they ever want to see that go away?
The government's in bed with anyone that gives them the most money.
These are government programs.
Consumers have no idea.
We consider it normal that a town the size of the town I grew up in gets wiped out every year. If that many people were being killed by some terrorist group in the United States every year, we would find them.
From a community standpoint, from all other aspects, we're in a state of emergency.
They care more about cooperation than do people.
They spend at least $138 million lobbying Congress.
These companies really have a vested interest in making sure that the public doesn't have information about their effects.
Any little thing that comes up, man, they beat it to death.
They are trying to silence people into not speaking out and not showing the truth.
If that's where you want to go with this, I'm sorry, I'm not the person that you should be talking to.
The European Association of Science.